Andrew Murray here from the Apartment Specialists. Welcome to our channel and welcome Chris.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Chris is from the team, one of our top agents. We're going to be talking about presentation today. And what I mean by that is renovating your apartment to add value.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Okay, so if we take an apartment that's, say, worth $600,000, your average apartment, if you renovate it, how much more would you expect to get for it?
Oh, brilliant question. I reckon straight away, if you've got a $600,000 apartment and you renovate it, we're looking to get towards $700,000 would be our goal.
Okay, so that's $100,000.
Yep.
That's quite a lot of money.
It is.
How much are you spending?
I guess the question is not just how much they cost, but what ratio to work towards.
Yep.
Do you know, as a general rule, I think we'd look for a 5-to-1 ratio. So for the example that we were talking about before, a $600,000 apartment, where the goal is to maybe have 700,000, okay, you're probably looking at $15,000 to $20,000.
Okay, cool. So do some people spend more than that?
Oh, do they? What?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like seriously, I'll get some people that will phone me up, and what they'll actually end up doing is they'll be like, "Hey, Chris, I spent almost $100,000 on a renovation, and my expectations for you are to sell it for $250,000 more than any other apartments."
Which is just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason it's not going to happen, okay, is it doesn't matter what you do to any apartment on the inside to a degree, it's always going to be restricted by a couple of things. The location the apartment's in, the building itself, because we all know different apartment buildings are built to different standards, okay, cool. The sales statistics in the building and also the area. So these are all restricting factors, I guess, is what you call them. Despite anything, you could plate it in gold, okay, and it would only be worth X amount.
So what you can say is, you can push it, but there's a limit to how far you can push it because of a few limitations, i.e. valuations could be involved and all that kind of thing. A valuer may look at it and go, okay, I'll let you get away with another 100,000, but you can't turn a $600,000 apartment to $1 million apartment.
Yeah, perfect. That's why when we work with experts, we actually recommend working to a ratio. Like the normal ratio we work towards, or we try to work towards, is 5-to-1. Okay. As a minimum, you're looking for 3-to-1, but usually it's about 5-to-1.
So spend 10, get 50.
Exactly.
Okay,
cool. Spend 15 to 20, aim for 100, and if you fall slightly short, everyone's still happy.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so what are the other pitfalls you've got to look out for when you're doing this kind of thing?
Time's a big one. So lots of people will come to me and they'll speak it and they'll say, yes, sweet, no worries, I've got $15,000 in the budget, or I've got $20,000 in the budget, but what they haven't taken into account is the time. So i.e., when you renovate an apartment, it's usually probably going to take about 4 weeks to do a basic renovation, and on top of that, it's probably going to take us probably 6 to 8 weeks to sell. Yes, we'd like to sell it overnight, and we do sometimes.
Yeah, some we sell in a couple of days.
Sometimes we do.
You can't really guarantee that.
No, you can't, you know. So lots of people don't take into effect during this time, it's what we call bleeding money out the back door. And that's through the mortgage, through the fact that it's not rented through these times and it's vacant, okay? So you need to take that into effect.
So you're probably looking at maybe an extra $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got to take into account, but it's more that not having that money, that's money not coming in.
Not money coming in.
Okay, so let's take, say, mum and dad, they're at home, they're not builders, you know, they're not interior designers. What do they do?
Okay, first thing they do if they speak to us is we say, cool, no worries at all. We're not the experts, we know a lot. Let me hook you up with an expert, okay? So we don't make any money from this. They're 100% independent of us, okay? And we'll go in with the owner, with this expert and myself, and I usually do this probably about 5 times a week, okay? And then we'll go through the apartment and we'll say, well, the standard things are a paint and a carpet, okay, cool. And then we start looking at things like the bathroom and the kitchen, which historically are very expensive things to totally redo the whole thing, but we're looking at doing things that will really add value quickly, okay? So for instance, we're looking at changing the taps to new modern taps to make them pop out so you notice them as you walk in, rather than being like, that's dated. You're actually looking, oh, this has got a good feel to it. You're also looking at things like the handles in both the bathroom and the kitchen that used to be rounded, you know, from the 90s.
Yeah, the dated ones. And even the bench tops are slightly round, those ones. Cool.
Just squaring things off. I change the mirrors maybe in the bathroom, you know, so just small changes that can make a massive difference in appearance.
So more bang for your buck of what you're spending, and it's that overall impression when someone walks in. So you're matching it to what a buyer's looking at, what are they seeing. We know they're not in there for, you know, hours, they're in there for 15, 20 minutes. What are they going to notice?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So, Chris, you brought up some really good points, and I think that people need to really take into account those last things you said, the lack of the rent, obviously the cost, and not just think, okay, I'm going to make $100,000 here. It's a little bit more than you think it is. So I hope that really helps. We've gone through a lot today. And then this one is being used to sell, or?
So the reason they did this is they've done this to Airbnb. Okay, so they've said, well, hang on a sec, let's get this to a standard. Let's invest some money just to sell it in the future, which they're obviously doing now, but in between time, actually Airbnb it out.
Okay, well that opens up another completely different topic, and I think we'll cover that next week, looking at Airbnb. How much extra income, because it would bring you more income, does it?
Hell yeah.
Okay, so we've got to go over that. And what are the issues, especially like body corporates and things like that. So Chris, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it, mate. And yeah, we'll talk to you next time. And any other questions you have, put them in the box below. Cheers, guys. See ya.